Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. I'm so excited that you're joining us. It has been a very long holiday season. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Hope you had a great Christmas and Happy New Year and all of the holidays that you may celebrate, like maybe Hanukkah, which interestingly it started on Christmas this year. So that was very interesting. But I hope you're doing well. Ready to talk about January, which feels like a month-long holiday hangover? I know it does for most people. I've got our spearmint tea today, not peppermint, and I am ready to get started on our topic. So I had some people let me know that they are going to be late joining us today, so the chat may be kind of quiet at first, but we will catch up with them later. Once you join, I would love to know that you are with us and that you, where you are, contacting us from, where you went for the holidays, if you just enjoyed it yourself, had friends over, had family over, what you did. I'd love to hear about it. So let's see, just getting a couple of things all set. There we go. That's a little bit better. You know how it is to have two monitors going. Sometimes things bounce around just a little bit when you didn't expect it. Anyway, so when I was doing some research for today's topic, I came across some interesting things and learned some new stuff that I didn't know before, which is kind of strange. But when I wanted to look, I mean, everybody knows that January is just kind of a very quiet, calm month. My dad's birthday is January 20th. He is no longer with us, but every single year I would get to like January 19th or maybe even the 20th and go, oh, shoot, I need to celebrate Dad's birthday. That's right. I forgot. It always sneaks up on me after, those several weeks of trying to get past the holiday cleanup and try to remember what day of the week it is. It's hard to get back to normalcy after the crazy holiday season that generally is about 6 weeks long. But I hope you enjoyed yours, and I'm very glad that you're here. Well, this particular article that I found that I'm going to share first was called Surviving January, the Most Depressing Month of the Year. If you agree with me, I completely understand. If you don't, I would love to hear about it. What is it that you think about January? Is it for you a perpetual type, just resetting your whole life and therefore you love it? Or resetting your life and therefore you hate it? Let me know. I'd love to hear about it. But this person this is from Psych Central, that publication, and it says that January 24th is on record as being the most depressing day of the year. We're going to find out a little bit later that this is just a day that somebody picked on purpose. And so it's, as I already explained, January can be difficult, but there's nothing special about January 24th. So stay with me on that one. It's not hard to figure out why. I'm going to continue reading the article. The bills come in from all those generous gifts you gave back when the holiday spirit had you feeling rich. The resolutions you made on December 31st are, well, broken. And it's cold, dark, and dreary. The roads wear the kind of brown slush that is unbecoming. I don't know what your hometown looks like now, but mine is beautifully white. The roads are clear. The snowplows and the cities have done an excellent job of making sure that we are safe out there on the roads, getting from place to place and not missing out on any responsibilities or any joyous events. I appreciate that very much. The author continues on by saying, however, my mood dips long before the 24th. It does a dive the Monday after the New Year for her, and she calls it Yuck Monday. So for her, there are she deals with depression a decent amount. And so one year she decided that she was going to attempt combating this depression by hosting a family reunion. And that proved to be too much, she said. The dysfunction of my family of origin and the unresolved childhood pangs that I feel when I'm with my sisters and my mom was enough to break me. Once they left, I couldn't stop crying. Well, for goodness sakes, I hope you don't deal with that much depression and it doesn't bother you that heavily. For me, I just feel like I don't get depressed. But after all of the intense activity and rush and celebrations and fun, and sometimes forced fun, I feel almost numb, like I'm bouncing around in my life trying to figure out where my path is. Much less we have to figure out what day it is every day. So it's kind of tricky. But some of the ways that she has dealt with this, I thought I would share with you, just in case you do deal with that annual depression in the middle of January. The first thing that she says that she does is she stops doing one thing that she doesn't enjoy. And I thought, well, I mean, there's lots of different tasks you can always set aside for another time when you feel like you have the energy for it. But she goes on to explain a little bit better. One thing, and again, I'm quoting the author. One thing that I feel like I should do is be an administrator for a support group that I created on Facebook, even as it causes me much stress. So she needs to handle the different triggering posts, she says, and also deal with some of the personal attacks that may come to her from members or amongst members when they inevitably disagree on things. But anyway, she goes on talking about how that's not really something that she enjoys doing, and she realized just how stressful it is. So in order to take care of herself, January 24th, she sets that aside and she delegates it to somebody else, which I think is wise. If it's not something that brings you joy, it probably is not what you should be doing, to be honest. So, and the second thing that she does in her short list is clean out one area of the house. So you feel like you've been productive, you can handle life because that particular corner of the house is clean, or even cleaning out your car. If you get all the trash out of there, I'm one to not keep trash in my car, but if you clean your car so that you get in it and it just feels very good. It's uplifting. And recently I was watching a very long video. I think it was an hour and 40 minutes, but two men that I love, just listening to them talk about their specific things. Most of you know that I am a doctoral student right now in social psychology. So these two men, Jordan Peterson, which many people have heard of and have been following for years. I've only started following him maybe the last couple of weeks, believe it or not. He is was a clinical psychologist, and now he's an author and speaker and has a wonderful YouTube channel where he interviews people that he wants to learn from. So he does deep dives into different subjects that he doesn't know much about, that he wants to learn more about. And the other man that he had the interview with this particular time, the second man that I greatly admire, is Dr. John Deloney, who has PhDs in trauma-based psychology, trained as a counselor, which is not the same thing as a clinical psychologist, but they both do wonderful things, and they're authors, speakers. They just do great things. And they come at the psychology topic from different angles. And so they were able to learn from each other. It's very interesting to hear them in their they were confident in the things that they know and humble in the things that they don't know. So that's a pleasant conversation to watch rather than maybe something like the political shows that you can see, the different so-called news channels where you learn not just the news, but also how to not get along with anyone around you. Anyway, all right, so I've digressed far enough talking about those two men, Dr. Peterson and Dr. Deloney. One thing that they said regarding this clean out one area of, the author says, of the house, Dr. Deloney As I said, he specializes in trauma and is a first responder to a lot of the traumatic events that may happen in a person's life. He says that when his education was still new, he was surprised at just how small the steps need to be sometimes. When a person is just completely overwhelmed by life, which this author may be, the only requirement that you have for that day is to get out of bed, take a shower. Just take a shower, and you can go back to bed. So that was an interesting thing too. I hope that nobody who sees this podcast is in a situation like that. If you are, please do reach out. You can go to coachamypratt.com and in the contacts tab and let me know how you're doing. And we can talk about that and get you set up in the right direction, help you get out of that depression, like we're talking about with the January 24th or the Blue Monday, as it's called. We're going to read an article next about that. So the third thing that this author says is go to the light. Some people have troubles with the seasonal affect disorder. So she has a light lamp specifically for this purpose. She says, I start using my light lamp in October. However, in January, this fixture becomes my best friend. Technically, we are moving toward more light every day in January, which is great news. But my circadian rhythm, the body's internal biological clock that governs brainwave activity and hormone production, gets really out of whack this month. So a light lamp does great things for her. And I actually know of a few people in my social circle that helps too. Right, and then her fourth thing is try something new. We don't need to really dig into what she says about that, but that's a good thing. You know, if you have time to figure out something, well, I'm sure that you do have the time, but oh, hi, Dawn. Thanks for joining. Everybody else who's on here, I would love to have you say hi in the chat if you would, please. But yeah, just come up with something that you've always been trying or wanting to try or trying to get the step toward, even making that first step toward doing that new thing that you've been wanting to do for a while. That's another way to get through the January blahs. Okay, and then her fifth thing, make a list of the lessons learned. I would think that would be a difficult thing for a person like her who is struggling with depression. Why would you want to go back and look at things that you struggled with or might even possibly consider a failure? Lessons learned? I would think that it would be a good idea to come up with the things that you have done that you're proud of. Hi, Marcia. Thanks for joining. Really appreciate you. So that was that first article from Psych Central and how that particular author really struggles with that. Probably more seasonal affective disorder than just what causes me kind of the blahs in January. And again, I don't really deal much with depression or anything like that in January. It just feels like I'm bumbling around and trying to figure out, where am I? What am I doing? So, oh, okay. So Marcia, you already had hot chocolate today, so you're skipping it tonight. All right. Well, before you joined, I told everybody I'm actually having some spearmint tea tonight. My voice feels a little tiny bit raspy, but there's the word, raspy. But probably because I've been having so much fun with my grandchildren lately. You know, screaming, hollering, having a great time, running around. Sounds good. Oh, yeah, the 28th sounds really random. Agreed. Let's talk about how they came up with that particular date. Okay, so this article is called, What is Blue Monday? And is it really the most depressing day of the year? This article was in Live magazine, and I cannot see the author's name at the moment, but I will read what the article is talking about. Blue Monday, as it's called, and I'm going to read the article, falls every year on the third Monday in January. It is supposedly the most depressing day of the year, often attributed to a cocktail of poor weather, the post-Christmas lull, stretched finances, and unattainable New Year's resolutions. Now, that sounds like the right recipe for being down if you have that particular bent. But it is actually, or is it actually the saddest day of the year? The short answer is no. The term Blue Monday was first coined in 2004 by a psychologist and motivational speaker named Cliff Arnall after he was approached by the now defunct British travel firm Sky Travel. They wanted him to come up with a formula to determine the year's most depressing day. As a marketing ploy, they wanted to encourage holiday bookings as much as they could to alleviate some of Blue Monday's misery. That was kind of funny. So he arbitrarily picked that, the third Monday of January. And I'll continue reading the article. The winter blues are a natural response to the Christmas break and the festivities ending, but pathologizing such normal feelings into some form of acute depression like Blue Monday is wrong, is what a professor, excuse me a moment. Excuse me, goodness. Oh, Marcia, yes. Yes, I was actually thinking about you this morning, and I even prayed for you. No resolutions. The church changed. I definitely want to hear about that, how it went. Thank you, Marcia. Appreciate the bless you. Okay, so Craig Jackson is the one who said that trying to say that Blue Monday is actually a day for acute depression, being incorrect. He is the professor of occupational health psychology at Birmingham City University in England. So, yeah. Then there were some other things that were said in here that I thought was interesting. However, Jackson, the gentleman I just referenced, did note that the winter months can play a role in catalyzing or elevating feelings of depression and anxiety. So in other words, if they're already there, then the holidays can possibly exacerbate, like the time after the holidays. And here he talks about seasonal affective disorder, which is also known as SAD, S-A-D, convenient, right? It's a phenomenon that affects 1% to 10% of people, depending on the survey. And this is a quote from him. Put simply, SAD is a form of depression with symptoms ranging from mild to major, occurring mostly during winter months that can be caused or exacerbated by a lack of natural daylight, as well as social reasons such as reduced activity and leisure time due to shorter and colder days. Now that makes sense. Are you guys taking care of yourself? Are you making sure to get out there and try to do some fun things? This particular year, I'm starting to host some game nights every third Saturday of the month, particularly for those people who may tend toward either depression, SAD, seasonal affective disorder, or have situations that could possibly make them feel lonely. If they're not surrounded by enough people to fill their social needs, then I want to make sure to meet those needs as best I can, just through a simple game night where we get together, potluck style. We have a small buffet and play games and talk and just have a good time. So that's what he was talking about in this article. He also suggested that there may be a link between the levels of illness and reduced activity that could contribute to rates of depression during the winter. So that's a thought. Of course, anybody who lives, in Northeast Ohio, how many people do we know that at least have the sniffles? I mean, for goodness sakes, I just sneezed and I don't even know why. But we all know many people, most, I would dare say half of the people that I know have some sort of a seasonal allergy or something going on because of the weather. And that drags people out. They just, they don't feel up to it. They don't have the higher levels of energy that they usually have. So that's definitely something that can cause January to be a tricky month for a lot of people. All right, let's see if I can get to the third article. By the way, we're talking about the holiday hangover that feels like it's month long in January. I have a tendency to rebel against what other people want to be the norm. I know that's really surprising to some of you that know me really well. Joke, haha. But I know there are many people who come up with not just New Year's resolutions, but also they want to choose a word for the year coming up. And I think that's wonderful. That's great if you would like to put a theme on the next year. For me, I don't know what's coming. I can set myself up for success and have particular goals that I want to accomplish in the next year, but there's no way for me to dictate ahead of time what the year is going to be like. So the flip side of, or actually the conjoining activity that a lot of people who, use a term or choose a term for the next year, they also write up a summary of the previous year's activities. Just looking backwards, and maybe they compare it to the word that they had chosen at the beginning of the year to see how much they were able to actually predict what was going to happen and what kind of a year they were going to have. So that's interesting. I love that people want to set up goals and do the very best that they possibly can. I mean, for goodness sakes, I'm a life coach. So that is something that I definitely am a supporter of. But to do it immediately after 6 weeks of nonstop activity, and for some people, like I was talking about, it's a really lonely season throughout the holidays. So all of us need to rebound from the holidays afterwards. And I don't see the new year as necessarily the best time to do that. I think that it is a good idea for us to just take it easy for a little while and then resume a naturally progressing personal growth directed life that we should always have daily, setting goals ahead and all that wonderful stuff. And especially like I do with my life coach clients. But anyway, all right. I had somebody I was talking to earlier today, and I told her that, the live stream was happening tonight. And I said, well, what is it that you would want me to address? And I didn't say anything about what I was going to talk about this evening. And she said she would like for me to address the pressures of the new year and the social anxiety, like the pressure from everybody to make sure that you have goals set, that you know what your resolutions are, that you're going to accomplish them, that you're going to have both hands on the steering wheel of life, and you're going to accomplish these things. She said, please remind people that God is your helper. God is your sustainer. He's the reason that you're able to continue breathing, to continue making it through difficult times in life. And she also wanted me to make sure to tell everybody to take one day at a time. We don't need to project too far in the future. We're going to, by the end of the live stream, we're going to get to a book that is a staple for me, Atomic Habits, where he talks about 1% change each day and setting your environment for success. I am absolutely a supporter of small, incremental, obvious, easy improvements throughout your life, rather than setting your goals huge and on this arbitrary day of New Year's, because it's a new year. You can forget everything that happened the year before and start fresh. There's a lot of truth to that feeling, but you get what I'm saying. So let's see the next article. All right, this one is in the Clinton Journal, which I hadn't heard of before, but I found it. And I thought it was an interesting article for us to look at this evening. How long do New Year's resolutions actually last? I loved that. I think that might have been my actual Google search. So he tries to dive into, I'm assuming I will put the article link in the description so you'd be able to look it up because I don't see the author's name at the moment. But he tries to find the origin of New Year's resolutions. I don't think we can really do that because it's just the natural human phenomenon. We want to look for dates that we can say, okay, before this point, this was true. And after this point, this is true. It's kind of like when people are trying to stop smoking, like completely quit smoking, they set a quit date and try to get ready emotionally for that quit date. And once that quit date, there is a before and there is an after. And many of us also have the pre-pandemic mindset, what everything happened before then and everything that has happened since then. That was a major time-oriented delineation of effects, So, okay. So this article that I was talking about, he says, why do people make New Year's resolutions? As a fresh new year starts, it offers a blank slate. Here we are. More like a factory reset where you now have 12 months to look forward to. This also explains why most New Year's resolutions fail miserably after a couple of days. Why? Because if you really needed to change something, you did not need to convince yourself that you'll start changing it after the year ends. Pretty much what I just said, isn't it? All right, then how long do New Year's resolutions last? Before diving deep into the numbers and studies from 2024, the year that's behind us, here's a look at an interesting concept called Quitter's Day. So not only do we have Blue Monday, we have Quitter's Day. That falls on the second Friday of January. So there we go. The second Friday just before the third Monday. Almost always that would be true, right? So you have Quitter's Day, and then on Monday, you've got Blue Monday. How sad. Okay, so see, it's called Quitter's Day because this is considered the benchmark for how long New Year's resolutions last. Based on a study published by a New York-based national market research company called Drive Research, 23% of adults quit their New Year's resolutions by Quitter's Day. That metric goes up to 43% of adults by the end of January. Okay, so there's something wrong with the way that these people are setting up their resolutions if they're quitting that fast. The study also found that 92% of adults will not follow through on a resolution. And here are some more interesting statistics done by Drive Research. Only 9% of Americans keep the resolution throughout the year. The second thing is most people drop out of their New Year's resolution on a Friday. Now that's interesting. Being interested in psychology, that makes me wonder, is there something about Friday and the work week, which generally is Monday through Friday? Like I can leave that on my desk. I'll take care of it on Monday. And then when you come back on Monday to get back to the resolution and picking that up as part of your schedule and part of your life, you just don't bother picking that up because other things are more important in the moment. All right. Oh, and also it says that Drive Research states 3 in 10 Americans make a resolution generally. And that was from 2024, like I said. So, all right. And then there's Forbes Health Survey asked a very important question. How long do New Year's resolutions last? The answers were mixed, but some of the key findings are interesting. So this is just some interesting trivia that I'm going to be reading from this particular survey. 62% of the survey respondents say they felt pressured to set a New Year's resolution. How many people do you know, and include yourself in that, you choose a resolution because you felt pressured to keep up with everyone, to be as good as everyone, to be as diligent as everyone, and to have that, save face. That's where I start rebelling. 67% of the respondents set multiple goals, which means 3 or more as they defined it. Only 22 of the respondents to the survey followed their resolution by the end of 3 months. Wow. Okay. 78% of them backed out by the end of 3 months, according to this particular survey. Only 2% were still following their New Year's resolution by the end of 7 months. Now, see, that's a more shared. 1% of respondents quit their New Year's resolution within their first month. That doesn't seem to fit what he was just saying, but I'm not going to bother with it. You guys can pay attention to that. All right, so then he not follow through on their resolutions. So there are goals that can be achieved instantly and goals that take time. For instance, you can decide to stop smoking today and commit to this instantly. However, to lose weight, you need time, patience, a lot of consistency. If these goals are divided further, the results come out like this. Okay, so these are some short-term goals. You improve your diet, make more time for loved ones. These are things that you can do instantaneously, like immediately start doing it. You don't have to, set a date or whatever. You can stop smoking. See, I disagree with that, because if a person is an actual smoker, it's going to be in the long-term goals where they need consistency, they need accountability. The struggle is a lot longer than just instantly. Or to learn a new skill, sure, you can start the lessons, or start your new app, whatever it is that you're going to do. Make more time for hobbies, or travel more, or meditate regularly. Drink less alcohol, especially after the holidays. Oh my goodness, I would like to say that I never want to see a piece of cake ever again, but that's not true. If it's the right kind of cake, I'll even make it and I will eat it. Oh, hi, Holly. That's okay. No worries. Thank you for letting me know that you're here. That's great. All right. So let's see. Some of the long-term goals that he was saying are a little bit more difficult, and that makes sense, right? Things that you have to hold on to for longer. To improve your fitness. Okay. So, well, again, why? His definition doesn't make sense to me, but improving your fitness, improving your finances, improve your mental health. We talked about that just a little bit ago. And to lose weight, improve your work-life balance, or perform better at work. And it goes on from there. If you set your sights on too large of a goal, it's going to be terribly difficult to accomplish and to stay with it without having a whole structure in place. And again, we'll talk about that in just a moment when I get to atomic habits. Okay, so there are a few similarities in the many surveys and research on how long New Year's resolutions last. On a deeper analysis, what becomes clear is that most New Year's resolutions fail for a few common reasons. Now, here's a list of why they may fail. First, you're going solo. You don't have that support or accountability. Secondly, high expectations. Again, it's too large of a goal. Third, just plain giving up too easy. But there's reasons behind that too. So I think that one should be broken down a little bit more. Fourth, not enough time. Fifth, not enough money. Sixth, no plan. You need to set your plan. Absolutely. And then 7, he says no motivation. 8, no self-belief. 9, social situations like pressure, whatever. Yeah, you understand that. And 10, you just plain forget. How many times do I have to put a Post-it on the TV in my library office, as I call it, in my office where I sit to do most of my studying or my thinking and my writing? I have to put the Post-it there, no TV until after this, because I forget. I so easily just walk. It's like muscle memory. Walk in there, pick up the remote, and turn on some YouTube channel or whatever that I want to watch. And then I start feeding myself that information, which is not my priority for the morning. And before I know it, a couple hours has gone by and I've missed maybe half of the most productive hours of my morning, which is terrible. So forgetting is a big one. Okay, why are resolutions so hard to keep? The main problem with New Year's resolutions is that they are a concept most people do because of how mainstream they have become. If you genuinely want to change something, do you hear this? You should never have to wait for the calendar year to keep flipping until the end of December. Again, let's just set up our life for continual personal growth, continuing to improve your entire environment, which ends up supporting you, continue to improve your social circle, which supports you, which does not leave you alone out there trying to do things on your own, all of that wonderful stuff. So there was that article. All right. There was just one thing that I wanted to talk about really quick, where they talk about the fresh start phenomenon. That actually was a study that was done. I mean, why do we need a study to know that Monday morning is the beginning of everything? For me, I usually look forward to Monday mornings because it feels like, the fresh start, the new page, clean page, no marks on it, no mistakes, nothing yet. And I can learn from the previous week. Obviously, today we're talking about the previous year and the new year. It's too much for me. I'd rather focus on the day. But new beginnings are a very important concept to apply to your life. For example, choosing that quit smoking date. If it coincides with a date that has meaning in other ways, it's going to be easy to remember, easy to reinforce, so that the two things are forever married on that particular day. You can remember, I'm not smoking anymore because of this. And those two things are because of this date or on this date. So, all right. Anyway, what this particular study, this was published in Psychological Science back in 2015. It says, initiating goal pursuit is challenging. People often fail to muster the requisite motivation. Okay, so they have to come up with the motivation ahead of time, and that's where people a lot of times fail, is what it's saying. In this paper that I'm reading, we consider when people naturally experience enhanced motivation to begin pursuing their goals and why that motivation is greater on certain days than others. Okay. They did several different studies that were all individually important. And I won't go into that great a detail, but again, that particular link, the information about this article will be in the description. By the way, if you guys get the chance, would you please like, subscribe, share, comment, all of that stuff to the YouTube video, as well as being in the chat. That helps greatly. Thank you very much. I don't know about you, but I always need reminders to do that. Even if I'm watching a couple hours of things that I'm learning from, I think, oh, shoot, I forgot to like it. What was that video again? So I have to go back through my history and like it and subscribe to the particular ones that I want. But I digress. Okay, so the general discussion at the end of this paper, it says that first, they demonstrated that a temporal, time-based, landmark strongly associated with the beginning of a new period. Okay, so that landmark, that date, strongly it causes people to first engage in activities designed to facilitate goal initiation. Okay, they use, that's not scientific jargon, but it's definitely academic jargon where we have to go, wait, what did they say? So first, these scientists demonstrated that a time-based landmark strongly associated with the beginning of a new period. In other words, the date is the beginning of a new activity, caused people to two things: engage in activities designed toward that goal, and secondly, forecast that their motivation to tackle the goals will be higher. So if you pick a particular day, it's going to facilitate that much more that your goal is going to be achieved, that your motivation will remain high as you get to these things. And then further, we proposed and showed that temporal landmarks marking new beginnings inspire goal initiation in part by creating a psychological disconnect between a person's current and past inferior self. We're always learning whether we want to or not. We are created, dare I say, in God's image. We can't help but as we live, we learn. We may take that information and twist it and use it improperly to come up with an unhealthy lifestyle that may progress more and more and more unhealthy, or we can use that information to get more and more healthy. But you're never going to stay static. It's never going to remain the same. You are going to see yourself in the past as an inferior version of yourself. And in the future, you will end up being a superior version of yourself just because of the information that you have gained by plain old living your life. That's what they're talking about here. Okay, landmarks such as New Year's Eve, the 40th birthday, a graduation, whatever, that can disrupt an individual's attention to day-to-day minutia. It makes them stop what they've been doing day after day after day after day, and it stimulates big picture thinking. So use those opportunities like a 40th birthday to think, okay, am I headed in the right direction of where I want to go? Again, this is a large life coaching conversation to have. If you're anywhere near any of those dates, or if you are beyond ready for whatever reason to get a hold of your particular path and make sure that you set goals that are accomplishable and toward what it is that you want to have as your life, get a hold of me. Again, coachingmepratt.com. And there's that contact tab there. Just send me a message and I'll get that and we'll talk about how I can help you. On that same website, there are the 6 dimensions of health and wellness. That is also on its own separate tab. So look through there and see if there's something that maybe you need to address. Maybe you want to have a life coach that would be able to give you support and accountability and help you structure reasonable goals. I'm absolutely happy to do that for you. Okay, now this is where the scientists end up kind of wrapping it all up. They said, our findings have numerous practical implications. First, for individuals who hope to curtail bad behaviors but struggle with initiating goal pursuit, temporal landmarks, setting a date, that open new time periods may prevent vicious cycles of impulsive behavior stimulated by the what the heck rationalization, like who cares, whatever. So setting a date and making that the date of your previous self and your new self, that helps. For managers and policymakers, tools and interventions designed to facilitate the pursuit of long-term goals may be better received. Like if your manager wants to say, I want us to implement a new workflow or a new type of a report that you're supposed to submit however often, whatever, you get the idea. It may be better received by the employee if it's provided following a landmark at the beginning of a new cycle. So much like the new year, maybe it could be after the employee's anniversary date of being with the company. And then further, our work suggests that highlighting temporal landmarks that signal new beginnings may be the nudge capable of bolstering people's interest in engaging in goal-directed behaviors. So a lot of that seems to be common sense, but now we think we take the time to read it, think about it, and know how to apply it if you're a boss or if you just want to make some changes yourself. Try to establish whatever goal with a particular date. And remember that date. Celebrate that date. Okay. All right. So like I was saying, those are the articles that I have available. Is there anything that any of this conversation brings to mind? Have you guys set any goals for the new year? I know Marcia already said that no resolutions for her because she's got enough change in her life and not just the brand new church. You guys have anything that you've done? Hey, way to go, Holly. Got a gym membership. That's awesome. Have you set for yourself a SMART goal? Like, I know you have your son. Who's going to take care of him when you go? When are you going? Like the specific day and time. Do you have somebody that you're meeting there that's going to hold you accountable? Oh boy, that was the best thing ever for me. I have a friend, Laurie. She and I were running on the trail for, a couple of years we were doing that. And we got so that we were running, and yes, I mean running, 42 miles a week. She and I have the same stride. We're approximately the same height. Her 4 kids and my 3 kids were approximately the same age. They were all in the same age range for sure. They already did a bunch of things together. It was just wonderful. So that accountability, on some mornings she was like, I don't want to. Don't make me. And I'd say, come on, let's go. We got to go. Let's go. Right. And, could be vice versa. There were several times I think, can we just walk today? She says, nope. If you're too tired or if you're, hurt somewhere or something, then maybe we can walk part of it, but we're going to run. We're going to do our, take care of each other. So yes. Okay. In the chat, my friend is going to go with me and I don't have specific days set, but I'd like to go 3 days a week or 3 times a week. That's great. Wonderful, Holly. Good job. The more precise you are, like this whole conversation about picking a date for a start date, whatever, that's really important, but also setting the specific time, like schedule it, is very helpful. I promise you. Promise. I'm not preaching at you. I'm just saying that's a good tool to invest in. Okay, so Marcia, partners in exercising is a great thing. Yes, absolutely. Oh, I love it. You guys, this community is wonderful where everybody supports each other. That's exactly what this entire community of inspirational influencers is about. We are here for each other. We'll take care of each other. And if there's something that you need, reach out and we will be glad to help each other as much as possible. Well, that's great, Holly. Okay, so let's talk really quick about Atomic Habits. As you can see, the guy's name is James Clear. This book has been around for quite a while. And I'm thinking maybe it's time for us to do a book study through this again. I know a few of you have already read this book. Is this something that would be good? Let me know in the chat. Should we do a book study on this? Because I have an idea for another book, but I'm not going to address that today. So yeah, let me know. Anyway, okay. Atomic Habits. Atomic, he breaks it down into a definition. So atomic means an extremely small amount of a thing. And the way he words it is the single irreducible unit of a larger system. Something you cannot break apart anymore. It's the smallest step of a larger thing. And a habit is a routine or practice performed regularly. So an automatic response to a specific situation. Okay. This, I'm not going to go through the entire book, obviously, but it is very good to know. For example, his chapter 5 is the best way to start a new habit. Oh, okay. Great, Dawn. Thank you. All right. Dawn says that she'd be open to that book study. If anybody else would like to, great. Dawn, if it's just you and me, that's good too. All right. Let's see. The best way to start a new habit. Glancing through real. Oh my goodness. I can't believe this, Holly. You're going to think that I actually did this on purpose. Okay. So at the beginning of this chapter, he talks about a research study that was done in the, I almost said contestants. No, the people that were in the study were broken into 3 different groups. And he says, each member of the 3rd group completed this statement. Now, this is the one, Holly. Okay, great, Marcia. If you're in on the book thing, that's good. We can do that. Let's pick a day and a time and figure it out. All right. So this was the statement that they were to fill out. These people that were wanting to build better exercise habits over the course of 2 weeks. Okay. So the 3rd groups had to fill out. During the next week, I will partake in at least 20 minutes of vigorous exercise on day, time, place. And it's not just saying it, it's writing it. Okay, now let's find out what happened with that. The sentence they filled out is what researchers refer to as an implementation intention, which is a plan you make beforehand about when and where to act. That was in the article, right? Okay, broadly speaking, the format for creating an implementation intention is, and I don't know how much you guys like algebra or whatever, but it sounds very algebra-esque. When situation X, whatever it is, arises, I will perform response Y. Okay, so hundreds of studies have shown that implementation intentions are effective for sticking to our goals. Whether it's writing down the exact time and date of when you will get a flu shot or recording the time of your colonoscopy appointment. Our group that gets together on Tuesday nights, we have successfully supported one of us in that group to finally get a doctor's appointment scheduled. That was extremely important for her health. And I'm so happy she's going on Wednesday. Woo! I'm very happy about that. But the punchline is clear. People who make a specific plan for when and where they will perform a new habit are more likely to follow through. All right, there we go. That's good stuff. And also, you have to be specific. It says, yep, bullied. Yes, but she gave us permission. So is it really bullying or is it support? We can call it that. I don't know. But you can't be too vague when you're setting up this implementation intention. Like, okay, in this book, there's another situation where your identity matters. And that was something that one of the articles alluded to as well. If you're constantly thinking of yourself as, oh, I'm the sick one. I'm always sick. I'm always tired. I'm always whatever. And you put yourself in that identity, then it's going to be very difficult for you to move forward in changing that identity. So in the book, one gentleman who needed desperately to change his identity and therefore, be able to shift his mindset so much that he could take on this job of losing an immense amount of weight, if I remember correctly. Well, what he did was changed his identity first. So every single day, every day, he would get up, get dressed in workout clothes, lace up his running shoes, get in his car, drive to the gym, walk into the gym, not necessarily exercise, but get back in his car, drive home without fail. So through that simple thing, that simple act, that simple habit, he was able to change his identity from a sedentary person who is very unhealthy, probably with great deal of medical issues from being so sedentary, to somebody who goes to the gym every day. Now, once he got there, after a while, it was easier and easier for him to take that new identity and actually make real changes. So that was an interesting thing. Oh, this is interesting. A simple plan to overhaul your habits. I'll read this particular story. It's not very long. And then we will talk about a couple things and we'll be done with our live stream already. Habit stacking is the title of this particular section. The French philosopher Denis Diderot lived nearly his entire life in poverty, but all that changed one day in 1765. Diderot's daughter was about to be married and he could not afford to pay for the wedding. Despite his lack of wealth, Diderot was well known for his role as the co-founder and writer of the Encyclopedia, one of the most comprehensive encyclopedias of the time. When Catherine the Great, the Empress of Russia, heard of Diderot's financial troubles, her heart went out to him. She was a book lover and greatly enjoyed his encyclopedia. She offered to buy Diderot's personal library for £1,000, which is more than $150,000 today, whenever this book was written. Suddenly, Diderot had money to spare. With his new wealth, he not only paid for the wedding, but also acquired a scarlet robe for himself. Diderot's scarlet robe was beautiful, so beautiful, in fact, that he immediately noticed how out of place it seemed when surrounded by his more common possessions. He wrote that there was no more coordination, no more unity, no more beauty between his elegant robe and the rest of his stuff. Diderot soon felt the urge to upgrade his possessions. He replaced his rug with one from Damascus. He decorated his home with expensive sculptures. He bought a mirror to place above the mantel and a better kitchen table. He tossed aside his old straw chair for a leather one. Like falling dominoes, one purchase led to the next. Diderot's behavior is not uncommon. In fact, the tendency for one purchase to lead to another one has a name, the Diderot effect. The Diderot effect states that obtaining a new possession often creates a spiral of consumption that leads to additional purchases. You can spot this pattern anywhere or everywhere. You buy a dress and you have to get new shoes and earrings to match. You buy a couch and suddenly question the layout of your entire living room. You buy a toy for your child and soon find yourself purchasing all of the accessories that go with it. It's a chain reaction of purchases. Now, I do want you to hesitate before you consider this compulsive spending. Let's take a step back and think about this in a positive light just for a minute. Kind of like the gentleman I was talking about who changed his identity as a person who goes to the gym every day, right? Okay. So many human behaviors follow this cycle. You often decide what to do next based on what you have just finished doing. Let's see. Each action becomes a cue that triggers the next behavior. Why is this important? Now, remember, this whole section is called habit stacking. So it's a matter of muscle memory. Habit stacking is a special form of implementation intention. And this is one of my favorite things about the entire book. Rather than pairing your new habit with a particular time and location, you pair it with a current habit. This method, which was created by B.J. Fogg as part of his Tiny Habits program, can be used to design an obvious cue for nearly any habit. I will not go any further because we're already past our hour. But as an example, one very small example of many that I have used this habit stacking with is when I'm standing there waiting for the coffee to finish brewing in the morning, I'm right next to the sink. I live alone. So when I was using a dishwasher, that would be the time for me to empty the dishwasher and put everything away. Because I live alone, I don't really use the dishwasher very much. So standing at the sink, that means that I can put the dishes away that I had washed the night before and they had just sat there to dry. That limited the amount of effort that there was, because as soon as they get dirty, then they're washed and set aside. And I don't even bother putting them away until I'm standing there with nothing to do next to the coffee pot. So the common and very much desirable habit of getting coffee every morning was then paired with putting the dishes away. It's very easy to do. And an interesting thing about the way the pandemic worked, most people they fall through their morning activities on their way out the door to get to work or to school or to wherever they're going. Well, at the moment, I don't remember the particular percentage, but a surprising effect of the pandemic was, and most people staying at home, not able to get out, having to mask anytime they did go somewhere, all of that. People all of a sudden stopped remembering to brush their teeth. People would say, wait, did I brush my teeth? I don't think I did. It's a very easy thing to drop. And who would have thought that? So habit stacking is a real thing. Okay, so far, Dawn and Marcia said they'd like to engage in a book study on this. I'm all for it. Let's talk about that on the side. Holly, if you'd like to join us, you're very welcome. Of course, everybody else, I know a couple people that I will be reaching out to specifically to see if they would like to engage in this. Also, I did want to say thank you so very much for the support that I have been getting on this YouTube channel. It means the world to me. Most of you have heard my specific story about why this channel was started, and even the timing and the day and everything, the specifics about it. And I very much appreciate the incredible friends that I have that continue to show up every week. As a response to that, I wanted to, I'm having a trick to get to that particular page. One moment. All right, getting to the analytics. Okay, so I started this channel, the first time that I had any kind of a posting on this channel was, they were pre-recorded and edited videos. That was on May 18th of this year, of 2024. So that was only in the last, I don't know, you do the math, 9 months approximately. And then somewhere, I'm trying to find the first date of the live streams. Let's see. Anyway, that hasn't been very long. I don't remember the first time that we had our live stream. Oh my goodness, why can't I find that? Was it September 23rd? I actually believe. So from middle of May to the middle of September, it was only whatever video that I was able to put up there. But since September 23rd, we've been doing pretty much weekly, except for the holidays, live streams and podcasts and people watching them after a while. So this is my gigantic thank you. There have been 711 views since that middle of May beginning. There's 110 watch hours, a little more than that actually, 110.4 watch hours. I do not understand why anything that I have to say on my little channel makes that much of a difference, but I certainly want for it to. And I very much appreciate the friends that support me while I'm doing this. If there's something that you would like to learn or like to hear about, research on, especially with regards to psychology and social psychology, which studies the impact of social circles on the individual person, and vice versa, by the way, please let me know. Okay. You can go to my website, which is coachamypratt.com, or even through one of these videos. Put it in the comments or in the chat, whatever. I would love to know what it is that I can do to support you in your journey of life, where we are doing the very best that we can with the little time that we have on this earth, and also the influence that we have naturally, as we've talked about a couple months ago now. The importance of using our influence in a positive way. We can't help but rub off on other people. So that's why our channel here is called the Community of Inspirational Influencers, because we want to use our influence to inspire and empower and support other people. So let me know, what would you like to hear about? Thank you very much. I think that is probably it for today. Unless somebody has something to say. Oh, thank you very much, Marcia. I did get your message. That's very kind of you. Thank you. Thank you. Love you all. You matter. You matter to the people around you. You have a specific purpose. You have value. You have a life to live that no one else can live. You have a place to fill in society that nobody else can fill. Thank you for everything that you do. If you need community, join us, reach out. If you need resources, reach out. We got this together. Okay. Thank you very much. And Happy New Year. Thank you, Holly. I appreciate that. 2025 is going to be fantastic. Just wait and see. Good night.